Hey, everybody. I hope you all are well. Um, but many of us are sick. It is April 4th, 2020. There is a pandemic, and a lot of us are under stay at home orders, under shelter in place orders. Some countries are even under lockdown. And I tell you, a lot of us are scared. And some people are taking this fear out in ways that just don't make any fucking sense. Tell me something. When you go out into public and you see an Asian family shopping, you see an Asian man putting gas in his car, an Asian man raking his lawn, um, what goes through your mind? When I see people of different races, I feel pretty comfortable with that. I prefer that. I mean, I have a rainbow sticker on the back of this Jeep. So I'm kind of uncomfortable with where I live because everyone here is white. I want that to change. I I feel like I'm a target being being gay. What if I had a boyfriend who lived with me? I'd be a target. But the kind of people who would hate people like me if I were more visible as gay, they hate people who are different in any way because it's a challenge to their privilege to their authority that is unmerited. Some people, when they see Asians out shopping or out walking their dog or whatever, they they get hostile. They'll give them glares. They will give them accusatory looks as if they're to blame for COVID-19. They will get right in their personal space and start yelling at them. And there's a case in Texas where a man stabbed an Asian family. Things that don't make sense if you think that they have COVID-19 or in some way to blame. But look at look at what happened with a white boy with a bowl cut who shot up a black church. As if, I mean, for one thing, as if they're to blame for interracial violence, ignoring that a lot of white cops have been pretty violent with black teenagers. But still, he's blaming peaceful people at a church for alleged violent incidents and wanting to start a race war. Doesn't make any sense. Also, he looks like he eats crayons. And then there was this case of a white man demanding to know if some guys drinking at a bar were undocumented immigrants and Arabs. Actually, there was one. One of them was a white guy, and a couple of them were Indians. I think South Indian. I'm not sure. and they were documented immigrants, but even if they weren't, that's none of his business. And he probably wouldn't care if they're Indians either. He's like, probably just as bad. And he came back and shot them. And, well, when you look at these incidents, um, holding people responsible for the actions of people of their race, and yet those parts of it doesn't make those parts don't make sense, not even by its own logic. And what it all boils down to is COVID-19 or not, they just hate people of different races because having people around of different races challenges privilege, challenges narrative, it challenges the power structures that live in this white supremacist society. That's actually why I prefer that people be undocumented immigrants, because it challenges the authority of the United States, which is, when you really get down to it, it is built on white supremacy. And it is designed to be white supremacist. Just look at where the borders of the states are. I could make a whole video on that. We need to get to the root of this. We need to challenge white spaces. We need to start mandating diversity. We need to make it so that when you are in the privacy of your own home with your white family, you do not let other white people tell jokes that you would not be able to tell if a black person or an Asian person or a Native American were not around. You need to make it so that people do not feel uncomfortable, or people of other races will not feel uncomfortable around you. And just remove all white social buffers. And make sure that your kids, grow up around people of other races. So make it so that people could not imagine not having people of other races around. That is what it's going to take to challenge white supremacy. And sadly, it's probably going to take a while to do that. I mean, just remember those kids who had those MAGA hats on, and they had this encounter with some Native Americans and Black Hebrew Israelis, and it was that awkward, tense situation. That was kind of embarrassing. And you look at the background of these white boys going to this all-white school. They were not educated, and that's how it should be seen. If you went to a school that's not diverse, you're not educated. If you went to a school, if you grew up in a neighborhood that's all white, you are inexperienced. And yeah, I hear your opinion. Bye bye. That's how it should be. People who grow up in that kind of situation, they grow up to always see people of different races as the other. And they feel threatened by them. And that's where incidents like this stabbing come from. Now, the guy's last name was Gomez. There does seem to be this tendency of this white supremacy culture to assert itself as your culture and then to assimilate you. I mean, that has already happened with some of my ancestors because I am part Irish. But yeah, just remember, like, this tragedy, this stabbing, it was not about COVID-19. It was about white supremacy. And that is what needs to be challenged. You can't just go up and say, hey, don't stab them because they're not at fault. These individuals are not at fault. It's not about the COVID-19. It's racism.